To Development Management Committee. I'm Councillor Graham Friend and I'm Chair of the committee. This meeting is being recorded, so you each give your consent to be filmed. Please ensure all mobile phones are switched off or silent. Following our usual process, officers will present reports for each agenda item. This will be a summary of the agenda report and an update note and will not introduce any new issues unless specifically stated. Members of the committee have reviewed the detailed reports within the agenda packs and the update note, which has been circulated to members and published to the Council's website ahead of the meeting. In incidences where it is considered that further clarification will be useful, they have the opportunity to ask questions of officers prior to the debate. The committee works under planning laws and regulations passed by Parliament, and decisions need to be made in accordance with planning law and local planning policy. Issues raised in representation to the local planning authority are detailed within the reports, but decisions are not based on how many people support or object to an application. They do need to be backed by planning reasons. I will now ask members and officers to introduce themselves.
Councillor Steve Parish and Deputy Chair of the Committee.
Councillor Paul Dibdin.
Councillor Robin Hunt.
Councillor Moe Singh.
Councillor Tim Price. Councillor Tom Dillon, substitute, and Councillor Warburton.
Councillor Judith. Councillor Judith Wheeler.
Councillor Bob Hignett.
Councillor John Roddy, substituted for Councillor Simon.
Gary Earnshaw, Development Management.
Lorraine Adams, Local Solicitor.
Adam Simpson, Legal Services. Matt Carney, Development Management.
Right, thank you. Apologies from Councillor Tynan and Councillor Warburton. I don't think we had any others. Okay, thank you. Code of Conduct. Do any members have any declarations to make? No, thank you very much. The minutes. We all have sight of the minutes. Are there any clarifications or alterations? Somebody propose the minutes, please. Councillor Hussain, seconded. Councillor Parish, all those in favour? Thank you. The minutes are accepted. Right. Planning applications. Who's going to lead off with me?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So the application is for extensions and works to Burwood Community Centre. There were no representations received, and the application's at committee tonight because it's a council application. The existing community centre is to the south east of the village, accessed from a small cul-de-sac called Green Jones Brow. The community centre has an indoor space including a multifunction hall, bar and kitchen spaces, some of which is rented out for events. The northern side of the building has change rooms and toilets associated with the bowling green, which is to the south of the building. There are several outbuildings associated with the bowling green, including a pavilion to the south of the main building and 2 shipping containers used for storage. The community centre's main car park is to the east of the building. The site's within the green belt. The proposal is for a single-storey extension from the southwestern elevation closest to the bowling green. The existing freestanding bowls pavilion, outdoor decking and shipping containers will be removed. The proposed extension will accommodate 4 changing rooms for bowls players, officials, and have a viewing area for the bowling green. There will also be other toilets, cleaners stores and a multifunction hall. The internal layout of the existing community centre will also be slightly reconfigured, although that's not works that require planning permission. Improvements will be made to the existing car park, with 10 new parking spaces provided on the eastern side of the car park, creating 38 in total. And there will be additional disability spaces as well, and a covered bike shelter will be provided to the north side of the building. There were no amended plans, and in terms of representations, there were no representations received from members of the public, ward councillors or the parish council. Consultees had no objections. That's development control, transport development control, and the ecology unit. Moving on to the relevant policies, they're set out in section 7 of the body of the report. I'll come on to the assessment of the main issues. So in terms of the principle of the proposal, as an extension to the existing community centre, the use is acceptable in principle, subject to Greenbelt considerations. Now, as there's a new building in the Greenbelt, the starting point is that it would be considered as inappropriate development unless it meets one of the exceptions set out in the NPPF. And there are several exceptions that we've considered in relation to this. Two of them we feel it doesn't meet because of the size and the nature of the uses. In more detail, at paragraph 9.9 of the report, we consider the exception that allows for development on previously developed land. We're satisfied that the community centre and its immediate surroundings comprise previously developed land, and as such some development can be allowed on that, subject to it not having a substantial, causing substantial harm to the openness of the greenbelt. So we go on to assess whether we think it does comprise substantial harm, and given the size of it in relation to the building, its proximity to the building, the existing building, is relatively well screened from outside the site, so there's landscaping around the site. It's considered that there wouldn't be substantial harm to the openness of the green belt. And in this context, perhaps members should think there's substantial harm, but the word substantial is used very rarely in national planning policy. In fact, I think it's only used twice. It's a very high level of harm, and we consider in this instance the proposal doesn't get anywhere near to that high level of harm. So as such, it's not inappropriate development, and therefore considered to be acceptable in principle. Moving on to the amenity impact, we set out at section 9.14 distances between proposed building and neighbouring properties on Green Jones Brow, and consider that those distances all comply with our normal privacy distances and outward distances, so there will be no harm caused directly by the building to the amenities of neighbours. We set out at 9.16 that there will be some increase in activity at the community centre sites as a result of the extensions. In particular, the element that comprises the new hall. The community centre opens until 2300 hours at the moment, occasionally later than that at times when they host events such as birthday parties or weddings, which we understand to be relatively infrequent. So with the new multifunction hall as proposed, there will be some increase in activity, particularly if both halls are in use at the same time. And as a consequence of that, we've recommended a condition that there was proposed on the application form anyway in terms of opening hours, that the new hall, the new development isn't used beyond 11 o'clock at night. And based on that basis, we consider there will be no sensible impacts on the amenities of adjacent neighbours. So again, there would be potentially some increase in comings and goings from the sites, with increased trips by car during the day because of the use of the new multifunction hall. But again, given the level of existing use and level of existing movements, car parking is fully catered for within the site, and we don't think that will result in anything that's out of character or harmful to the amenities of neighbours. Design is considered to be acceptable. It's an attractive modern design given the use. It's got red brick for most of it, and although that's slightly different to the materials from the existing building, we think that's going to be an acceptable impact in the area. Highways officers have said no objection, and they also state that the increase in facilities is unlikely to have a significant impact in terms of the highway network, and parking standards are fully met with additional spaces being provided within the site. In terms of ecology, the ecology unit has commented on the proposals. There'll be no harm to protected species. They've requested a condition in relation to the adjacent watercourse and local wildlife site during the construction phase. And they're happy that the biodiversity net gain metric that's been submitted is appropriate and can be dealt with by conditions. which we have recommended. So in conclusion, we're recommending approval subject to the conditions set out in Schedule 11. What members should note in the update note, there's a slight amendment to condition 4, is to ensure that the parking provided is retained thereafter. Thank you, Chair.
Right, thank you. Okay, councillors, any questions? Councillor Hussain?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the multifunction space.
Yeah.
Is it going to be used for large events? And if so, what maximum occupancy has been assumed for that?
So we haven't had sort of maximum occupancy details on that. We understand during the daytime hours it's going to be used for community things like yoga, kids classes, Pilates, those sorts of things during the day. There's not been a suggestion that it will be used for larger nighttime events. We have raised that with the applicant, and at the moment they're happy that the hours that we recommended to finish at 11 o'clock is appropriate, so they couldn't hold up to midnight wedding events in that multifunction hall, although they clearly can still do that in the main hall. If there was a desperate need to use that multifunction hall beyond the hours that we're recommending for bigger events, they would have to come back to us with a variation of condition application.
We've got the access to the via Green Jones Brow. Is that for the likely increase in the vehicle movements, like emergency vehicles and things like that? Is that adequate to deal with it?
Yeah, our highways officers have considered the application, and based on the size of the proposed developments, they're satisfied that there's no highways network impacts.
Just one more. In case of overspill, Chapel Lane, you might likely to get a lot of traffic into Chapel Lane. Is that being explored, investigated? So I know that area quite well, as well as much.
So they've not made any specific comments about overspill, and the view was that the parking provided with the additional parking that's been provided as well, does more than cater for whether it meets their standards for the existing hall and the extension. Elements of overspill, but the highways officers haven't suggested that would happen as a result of this proposal. No, it's not to say it wouldn't happen if there's, I don't know what sort of matches they have on bowling, how many people turn up for events during the weekends. Clearly a big wedding might cause more traffic, but that will be infrequent parking. But as a result of this proposal, there's no concerns from the highways officers.
Okay, any more questions? No? Go on then.
I looked at it, it looks great, but I'm just thinking, is it needed? Extension with extra toilet facilities and 4 extra toilet facilities and extra parking. Is there much demand for it?
I guess you'd have to ask those who are funding it. I mean, they're not going to spend the money if they don't feel there's a need or local demand for it. Some of the bowling facilities that are there at the moment have been removed and replaced, so there must be a feeling that those are either out of date or don't meet current standards. So I can only assume there is a need for it, but that's not really our planning consideration in this case.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Parish?
Thank you, Chair. I think something with a correction to the first bullet point in the report, which in the report says the proposal is inappropriate development of Greenbelt. That has now been corrected to not inappropriate development, for which we're grateful. I think, given the lie of the land and the surrounding trees, it seems fairly obvious it's not going to make a great impact on the openness of the Greenbelt. There are no objections, so I'm quite happy to move the recommendation to approve.
Okay.
Well, to make the recommendation is to grant delegated powers to the development manager and then issue the decision.
Okay, just any more questions from councillors first? Okay, it's been moved approval. Do I have a second? Councillor Frith. All those in favour? Thank you. That application is approved. Okay, appeal decisions. Have we got any comments on appeal decisions?
None that we wanted to draw any attention to, but happy to take any queries that members may have.
Councillors, any questions? Councillor Parrish.
It's just for noting, Chair, it might be educational to look at the, I think the second one on page 35, which is 34 Barnard Avenue. Bernard Avenue. Just because it talks about the relationship to the 45-degree code, which is a bit like Paris Academy, and its guidelines. And we have had previously decisions to make where the 45-degree line has been very slightly breached, and people have done sort of chamfered corners to get around it. I don't know whether that's worth remembering for the future, because the inspector here probably doesn't think it's fixed law. You can get biblical law of the medium versions, which you can't have a bit of flexibility in.
Any comments on that?
No, I think that's right, Chair. I think it's, and we've seen it with a couple of inspectors' decisions recently that the guideline is applied in the inspectors a couple of times and said, well, it doesn't breach the guidelines, but where's the harm? So we've always got to come back to that point of, what is the harm that's being identified, and inspectors are keen to address that, as well as the potential breach in the guidelines.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, councillors? No, okay. I think there's nothing else, is there? Anything else for tonight's meeting? Right, thank you very much. I'll close the meeting.